Hello, everyone. It is your favorite wellness advocates, Keisha and Ivy here, and this is Chat Chew and You, the interactive wellness show where it's all about promoting self-care, holistic health, and confident, energetic living. And today's topic rolls right into that, domestic violence, right? So we're going to be talking with our guest, Skyy, today. We'll introduce you to her in just one moment. But just so you know, this is Chat, Chew, and You. Unfortunately for me, it's going to be Chat, Sip, and You. So I got my water with me. I was going to make some deviled eggs. Didn't get a chance to finish before the show, so I'll eat that when we get done. But love to hear what you guys are chewing on tonight, if you are at all. But first things first, if you have any questions during the show or even after, share with us your comments, your feedback here on Blab, or you can send us an email later if you want to remain anonymous at chatchewandyou@gmail.com. Okay. So Ivy, do you want to introduce Skyy?
I'd love to. So, thank you all for being here. This evening we have Skyy. I mean, what do I say about Skyy? No, that's in a good way. It's like so many things that you do and so many ways that you are working in the community. Of course, I feel like your thing that I know you most for being is an authoress, as you call yourself. And she's an HIV/AIDS advocate, a women's empowerment advocate. She's always making moving and shaking in the community. I'll actually put up her link so you all can visit skyebanks.com and see the books that she's written, and some of those actually touch on some of the things that we'll talk about tonight as well. I'll let her talk about that. But what's most important is that she's always, like we're talking about tonight, is educating and empowering people for upward mobilization. And so that's one of the reasons why I invited her to come sit at the Blab table with us today. So welcome, Skyy.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here and learn all about this technology and like, wow. And just share, in this important public health topic. I'm glad that you all are amplifying your voices to raise awareness about this issue. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. It was lovely to meet you. Look, on air, in person, live,
right?
Virtual live.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I definitely want to go ahead and dive into our topic for tonight, which is When Love Hurts, Education and Empowerment to Eradicate Domestic Violence. And the main reason that we wanted to talk about that is that you all might be new to the Chat Chew and You show, but if you don't know, we focus on holistic wellness and helping people live to the fullest of their potential when it comes to their health and well-being. And, is it possible to be healthy and well if you're living in a condition of fear and violence on a consistent basis? Let's start and put that question on the table first. What do you ladies say about that?
Skyy, what do you have to say about that one, dear?
Absolutely, it's not possible to live healthy and well. Just from the mental aspect and anxiety of it all. But even beyond that, there's been some research on HIV and they intersect with IPV. And so what we found is women that are in domestic violence relationships are at a higher risk for contracting HIV. So absolutely, you can't live healthy and well when you are subjected to physical, emotional, financial, abuse.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting correlation for the two.
Right, and when we think about it, a woman that is in an intimate partner violent relationship, say the boyfriend or husband goes out to cheat, and then he comes home and wants to have sex with her, and she's not going to say no. She's not going to require him to wear a condom.
Right.
That kind of thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. What do you think, Keisha?
Yeah, same here. I mean, we're talking about holistic health. That's every part of ourselves, our emotional, mental, especially when it comes to abuse, whether it's emotional abuse or physical abuse. Neither one of those is better than the other, or even worse than the other. And a lot of times the emotional abuse comes before the physical abuse, so we have to watch out for a lot of that. And how do we do that? And I'm hoping that with this show and with your comments, whoever is watching and who have feedback that can, provide in and chime in with the topic in terms of what that process is, what that looks like, so that other women or other people in general can actually see the flow of that and can understand if, how do you know if you're in a situation that could be disastrous later on down the line? How can you recognize different signs? And it's not just, if you ask me, it's not just in intimate relationships. I mean, there's physical abuse in all types of different relationships and emotional abuse. So, I think that opens us up. I know we're talking about, relationships when love hurts, but it's everywhere. And that statistic that you mentioned earlier, Ivy, with every 9 seconds someone is getting abused is staggering.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, seriously, since I've been talking, we have like 3 people. Wow.
Right. Or more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One thing I did want to bring up is what is domestic violence, and how do you actually define it? And Skyy, I want to open up the floor to you first to see what your definition is of domestic violence.
When I, think about domestic violence and just know it for what it is personally, it's being in a relationship when they look at that on the home front. So it's a partnership, a relationship, and someone is doing the battering and the abusing.
Right. In preparation for the show today, I shared the link earlier and I will share it again, but I actually went on and got a definition from DoSomething.org, and they stated it, and because a lot of times you try to think, okay, what exactly qualifies as domestic violence? And when I saw this definition, I thought that it was like broad enough to include a lot of different ways that people can be abused, but narrow enough to where we understand that, okay, yeah, this is actual abuse.
Mm-hmm.
So they have it as domestic dating violence is a pattern of controlling behaviors that one partner uses to get power over another, including physical violence or threat of physical violence to get control, emotional or mental abuse, and sexual abuse. And I thought it was interesting that they included physical violence or threat of physical violence.
Mm-hmm.
Like the old raising of the hand, but never do
Right.
anything, at least initially. Yep.
Right.
Threat.
Or even saying, if this happens, I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think that mirrors the phrase, if the conditional phrases of "if you love me, you would," and also the opposite: "if you love me, you wouldn't."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Same thing here in terms of what that means in terms of conditional statements.
Right. And so many times when people are in a partnership, they may make excuses, or they may excuse behavior because they'll say, well, he or she never touched me. They never put their hands on me before. So then they don't think of it as domestic violence. And some of it is because they're excusing the behavior. And some of it is because they just don't know. Because most people think, if someone is not beating you up or throwing you down or things like that, then it's not a form of violence. They always think of violence as actually putting hands on someone. But I like how they included that it can be mental, emotional, or even the threat of violence.
Absolutely. And this is what we talk to our teens about, teen dating violence, because they're not hitting, but of course it's checking the phone, who you're talking to, controlling the friends that they have, the places that they go, checking in every 5-10 minutes. And a young girl will think, oh, he's really into me because he's checking on me and he's talking to me. And it's really, I want to know what you're doing, where you are at all times.
We can't hear you, Keisha.
Sorry about that. I said I'm glad you're working with teens because that's where it starts, right? Before they become women who are abused, they may have been teens who are or have been abused. So I love that you're starting with that demographic, and helping them understand what is control, what is unhealthy. How do we recognize what's unhealthy? And yes, starting with our teens is a must.
Absolutely.
And can we talk about who does domestic violence affect? Because I think that sometimes we have a stereotypical opinion of what domestic violence looks like, or who experiences domestic violence. What do you ladies think of who domestic violence affects?
Can I just say one word? Everybody.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, it affects everybody. Not just the parties involved, but what about any children that may be in place? What about any other relationships, familiar relationships, especially for the abused, when one thing I've found and have seen with women who have been abused is their self-esteem is affected. And we know what that means. When your self-esteem is affected, then everything else that you do is affected. Your worth is decreased. The way that you see yourself is different. And so all of that is a matter of, relates to how you interact with other people. So whether it's at your job performance may decrease. So it affects, I think it emanates from within when you're in that space, in that position. And so it affects everybody, in my opinion. Everybody who you are around, especially closely, is affected.
But what I found is, while you say that it affects the self-esteem and then, sometimes your appearance and your productivity, I've also found that domestic violence affects, what quote unquote, the smart women differently, who have it all together. They're pretty, that they hide it so well. So you don't see a change on the outside. They're still coming to work. They're polished. They're dressed well. They hide it so well. This just happened to me last week. There's a young lady in my office. She's a preacher's daughter, and she's married to a pastor. She's about 30, and she stopped by my office and she said, and I've been knowing her for about 2 years now, and she dresses well. Hair is always nice, and positivity all around. And she stopped by and she said, I want to share something with you and I don't want you to be mad. And she told me she had been in a domestic violence situation with her husband for the last year. And that weekend, she decided to pack up and leave. And I looked at her and I was like, not you, the preacher's daughter who's always talking about God and love and speaking life into everybody else. Because that's what she does. Her Facebook page is nothing but positive quotes and inspiration. And so that's why I said the woman, the business, the career woman, they dress it up. Because that's one thing, that's a dirty secret that they wouldn't want anybody to know about them.
Did she tell you, though, to help her complete her leaving her journey, or it was she just felt she had to tell somebody, and you were the perfect person for her to tell that to?
I was not the perfect person. Because not only did I cry in my office when she was there, because it hurt me so badly, when she left out, I called my boyfriend and I was like, what is God doing? Why did he bring her here for me? To do this thing. But of course, we've been talking, and my whole thing with women is get the healing you need. And that healing is not just, okay, I'm out of the situation. I suggest counseling, all of these things to get the healing that you need for being in this situation when you didn't deserve it. So, it's a journey. She's only been gone 2 weeks, and she loves her husband and she misses him. I heard it in her voice when she was talking about it. And since I've seen her, she misses him. So I'm like,
Wow.
what do I say about that? It's human.
Yeah.
You're going to miss him, but yeah, it's that struggle. So whatever I encourage her to do what she needs to do for her, but at the same time, think about her small children who are both boys, because now you're perpetuating a cycle.
Right.
So yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, that's why I had asked about, who does it affect? Because, like you said, I think we do have stereotypes of what, where domestic violence happens and who it happens to. And unfortunately, a lot of times that's why it stays hidden, because we're overlooking, we're not seeing, or we're not noticing, or we're always looking in the same places. And even with men, like, there's plenty of men that are going through domestic violence. And, now that we're focusing more attention on that, of course, they can get their support. But, a lot of them have kind of had to go without the help that they need, because of course, they're going to experience more shame around it. How can you let another person abuse you and all of that, because it's the assumption that if you're a man that you're not going to go through that. So yeah. What about statistics? I know you gave some statistics around domestic violence and the connection, the correlation to HIV/AIDS. Do we have any other statistics around domestic violence that you ladies would like to share?
I don't have them in front of me, which I should know this like the back of my hand, because that domestic violence is a very important issue for myself and my family. But I've kind of strayed away from and stayed away from doing the work around it. And
Okay.
my family, we have two shelters that we own and operate.
Okay. Would you be willing to tell us a little bit more about that, about like your shelters that you operate, and what made you, are you involved in that, or is that just like a familial business?
I'm not involved in the shelters beyond just knowing that they're there. And the reason is because it's so sensitive. We got those shelters after my mom was killed. I was a senior in college, and she was shot 7 times. And only 46. And so my aunts, they opened the shelters. One is named for her, Anna's Place. And but I haven't. I go home, and I've not gotten to that good place in my life where I could just go and visit. But supporting in other ways by feeding, different things that they need, toiletry drives for the women, from supporting from afar.
So even though you're not directly involved in the shelters or in that work, do you think that it's inspired you in other ways in the other work that you do?
It does, and I'm pushing, kind of finding a voice and doing some of this thing, because not only was my mom a victim, where she succumbed to domestic violence, I've experienced it, but I'm now getting to a place where I'm doing more advocacy work around it for, again, my continued healing and wellness. Yeah.
I understand. Well, I know even if you're not working directly in that area, you're empowering women, and that's making a big difference because, I think that even with the work that everyone right here in this Blab that we do as far as helping women with self-esteem and health and confidence and all of that, if they have not been in a domestic violence situation, just the fact that they can begin to feel more confident and more self-esteem and all of that, if they are faced with that, perhaps they'll be more confident to where they won't even have to be in that situation or where they won't succumb to that situation. So that could be, that even counts as proactive work.
I agree. And just kind of lending support to other organizations. Katessa's not on, but
she's trying.
I know she's like me. So, this thing out. Ivy, you are so up on this technology, girl. I love it though. We've worked together in doing different, awareness initiatives and things like that around Atlanta. We actually supported 3 shelters, one in Mississippi, one in Arkansas, and here in Atlanta. So, if I'm not directly involved, I'm supporting other women who are doing this hard work.
Definitely. And actually, Katessa's gonna try to call in, so I'm gonna try to get her at least on speakerphone. Okay. And she's like, I'm so sad. I want to at least say something. So I'm gonna try to at least get her on, so she can at least lend her voice to the conversation because I know she really wanted to be here. So if you see me step out for a second, that's what I'm trying to get her set up.
What was interesting is last year there was a big push, and I think the years prior, it was purple out. They were trying to get the NFL to wear purple for the month of October instead of pink, which would have been absolutely perfect. I mean, look at the number of incidences that we've seen as of late, and that has happened. It's like, I thought it would be a good deal, but I guess the money talks, and that didn't come to fruition. But I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more purple in the years to come in this month.
Yeah, I know there's a clash between the causes, but you know what? Pink and purple is good. We can wear both, right?
Right. Absolutely. We can't consider, that purple is swept under the rug, like Ivy said. We don't want to talk about that.
And that's the crazy part because there are so many people that either have gone through this particular, type of abuse or know someone who has. And so for us to sweep these types of issues under the rug just seems asinine. It's really crazy. The stuff that really matters, we don't talk about.
Absolutely. Or then when we do talk about it, it's from a judgmental aspect. It burns me to no end to hear women, like with Ray Rice and his wife, there was so much judgment around that. And I'm like, you don't understand. Because really what happens is it's trauma bonding. While they have power. Abby, what you doing to my people don't understand that it's trauma bonding. It might have something to do with esteem and some other issues, but it's not so easy because someone knocks you out to just say, I'm done tomorrow.
Right.
That's just like young girls who are sex trafficked, and people always wonder, how could the pimp have them so long? Where they've bonded with somebody who say they care, say they love them, kind of like the Stockholm syndrome, that you are bonding with a person that has you oppressed, that hurts you. So if it's not as easy to, okay, he hit me and I'm just walking away. You've been with somebody 5+ years, maybe you have children, you don't, but you end up rationalizing for them. Mm-hmm.
I have Katessa on speakerphone, so we're gonna like really be technological here and see if this works. Hold on, let me all right, let's see how this goes. I don't even know where my microphone is on here. Okay, let's see how this goes. Go ahead.
Hello.
Oh, we hear her.
Oh my goodness. I need a class.
I know.
I knew I should have gone to Skyy's place and just been over there, and I knew I would have gotten on. But no, I'm going to be adventurous.
It was not that easy, girl. I text Ivy, I called, I said, girl, you know I'm technically challenged. Yeah, get me. So no, it was not that easy.
I apologize to everyone.
It's okay. We'd love to hear from you around, we were just talking, well, you were listening in on the show, and Skyy was talking about the advocacy work that her family was doing, and that's when she mentioned your name. Would you like to share with us some of the advocacy work that you've done around domestic violence?
Well, I started working, actually, when I was in high school. I worked at the local shelter back home. I'm originally from Mississippi. We have a better women and children's shelter there. And so in high school, I started working, volunteering, and when I went off to college, one of the organizations that I was affiliated with, we participated in raising funds for the shelter as well. And later, I knew it was something I always wanted to do because my experience is different in that I wasn't in a relationship where I was being abused. However, I saw it as a child. And I tell people I have never seen my mom in a relationship where she was not abused. So, and even up to this day. And so I knew I wanted to do some work there and empower women and just try to do what I could to help others. It's not easy, like Skyy said, to get out of these types of relationships. It does take empowerment. It does take a change of the mindset and will of those that are involved, and depending upon many reasons why people stay. So you have to combat what that reason is. It's really not easy. So I started off doing what was a Sunday dinner for women back home. And we had women to come out, and I handpicked certain gentlemen to come and share and deposit into the women because there are good, loving men out there. And so I kind of grew from there. Then I moved to Georgia shortly after that. So what I have done since then, Skyy and I actually met doing community service. We were feeding the homeless. And so we just partnered from years after that to kind of get resources for those shelters between Mississippi, Georgia, and Arkansas, which was where we met in Atlanta in Georgia, and then our hometown. So I'm hoping to start Sunday dinners everywhere next year. That's the initiative that I'm pushing for, where a network of women just start hosting them, having cell groups where we're empowering women and giving them information, whether it's economic empowerment, boosting women's self-esteem, things of that nature. So next year is going to be a big year because I just got back in the country. And so next year we're just pushing for that empowerment, because the one thing about domestic violence, these women become so isolated. They don't have the support. That's one of the things. That's how the men can keep them in these abusive situations, because they pull them away from their source, their support system. So we want to kind of build those groups and have women, provide women with safe places to come.
That's awesome. And I love the fact that you brought up the economic empowerment and what a big difference that makes in women being able to leave. Like Skyy was just talking about, there's the assumption that, oh, you just make the decision to go and you go. But it's like, I mean, where do you go? You know, and how do you live once you leave, especially if that person is your sole source of income, you know, or like you said, if they've alienated you from all your friends and family, you know, how are you going to support yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Very true. Very true. And when they want to choose us to leave, when within, you know, those first 24 hours, 48 hours, they're at the greatest risk of actually being killed.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have a plan. You know, there has to be a plan in place. There are shelters. They're not, of course, you know, you don't go by there and it says, hey, this is the domestic violence shelter. So it takes you actually reaching out with, like you have here, the domestic violence hotline. You know, they can get you assistance and get you connected to the right people that can help get you out of those situations. Yeah.
How do we help people to know that they're in a domestic violent relationship? And this is, you know, for anybody in the conversation, because I think that sometimes people either may not know or they may make excuses. Like, what are the signs?
It's a good question.
I think people know. You know, I really do think they know. It's those deficits that cause them to remain. I don't feel good about myself, or maybe I did feel good about myself, but I've been broken to the point where, you know, I don't believe I'm not the person that I was when I entered this relationship. And I don't believe that I can do any better than, you know, so much time has passed. I'm so ashamed. I don't want people to know that my marriage is not working and that my husband is abusive and he has status and what will this mean for him, you know? And as women, we are taught to love our men and stay with our men and protect our men. And I know that this abuse just doesn't happen against women. There are men who are abused. But as women, we are, you know, are kind of like the keepers of things. We hold things together. So how can I tell people that I'm falling apart and I can't keep my home together? Right. So what is a strength sometimes is used against us as a weakness. So people know that they're in abusive relationships. The thing is, I don't want anybody else to know.
Absolutely. And I think the only group of people that would not know, as we spoke about earlier, are the teens, because they're still learning themselves and knowing about themselves, and they're just happy to have a boyfriend. So again, they're not, you know, saying that because he's calling me every 10 minutes that that's control, that's abuse. So those babies that are still coming of age, now I'll give them a pass to say, you know, beyond someone striking them. Of course, they know that's abuse if someone hits them. But the other kind of emotional abuse that happens, I don't think that they can clearly see that, because we don't even talk about teen dating violence with them, especially inside the schools. I think they're doing a little more of it now, but you know, the work I've been doing is like with my church and youth groups that are outside of school. So I'll say, okay, we need some work. But an adult woman, someone yelling, screaming, you know, punching holes in the wall, kicking things, throwing things, checking your phone, in your phone, telling you how to dress. I don't know how an adult woman or man could say that this is normal, this is okay.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Skyy. And I don't think that we're doing enough education for our girls and our boys. I was speaking to one of the workers at my school who's over the male group, and I said, I want to come and I want to speak to these young boys because they don't know. They don't know how, we're not teaching them how to interact with one another appropriately. And they're being bombarded by all these things that they see on TV, and they think that that's what we need to do. So we have to educate them about appropriate interactions with each other. No, it's not cute for him to take your phone, and that's inappropriate, like you said. So it's not often happening in the home, so we really have to educate them. And but the village is broken. We're not connected again. We're not connected where sometimes people even want you to have these conversations with their children.
Right.
And what's interesting is my daughter, she's 19 and she's dating. And the young man, he's a nice guy, but something happened a few weeks ago and she called me and she said, Mom, he says I can't talk to any boys, like platonic friendships. I went here.
Yes.
Okay, you're my daughter, you're 19, you already know what it is. And I had to be clear with him. I said, we coexist on this earth to interact and engage with the opposite sex. So you're going to have to accept that. I don't know if it's your insecurity, your trust issues, but this is not the mom you want to meet. I've been there, and I'm not going there with my daughter. And I was clear with her. I said, this foolishness is not going to happen, so you already know. So either you continue as you have been, but it's going to be some problems with us if I find out you have, quote unquote, honored what he said. You're 19, baby. It's a whole world out here. So, let's figure it out. But I just, I found that interesting for him to say that, and she's never experienced it. And, she's like, okay, what's the deal? So
what did he say to you back? What did he say to them?
Well, he was just stumbling over his words, and he was like, okay, I understand. I said, because I guarantee if I go to your phone, through your phone, you're not just talking to guys, because I won't be talking to only guys. So, he was like, well, yeah, you got a point. I was like, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, baby. You going to be talking and she going to be talking, and we going to keep it like that. I had to do that because that's my only girl, and I'm playing no games.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. We need more mothers like you out here.
The good thing is that the communication was there, right? Because,
right.
Think of how many girls get into that situation because they're not communicating. So they're just going into it, and either they don't have that parent who's there that they can talk to, or they don't have that relationship. So they're going, like you said earlier, they're feeling like, oh, that's a sign of he loves me. He doesn't want nobody else talking to me. I'm all his. They think that that's cute, or that's a sign of love or attentiveness or affection. And there's no one, they don't have that mother to say, no, that's not okay. Like, that's not normal. That's not love.
Right.
That's another reason I loved the title you came up with, Ivy. I told you this already. When Love Hurts. Right? This is one of those, I don't know if I won't say oxymoron, but another one of those, maybe a paradox or whatever, because love never hurts. Love never hurts. Yeah. That is not what love is. And I think maybe that's another word that people should look up and understand what love really is. Yep. So they can know that love does not mean, you physically or emotionally abuse me. Love does not mean you hurt me.
Mm-hmm. Through your words or through your actions. Absolutely.
Right. Love shouldn't hurt.
Absolutely.
Not shouldn't, it doesn't. You change
that. Not right. It's like you said, they're antipodal. Like they can't even meet in the middle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't work.
So I know, Katessa, you had talked about when a person leaves a domestic violence situation, what can they expect? Like, okay, so if you decide that I'm in a violent relationship and I want change, I want better for my life, then what?
Well, I think the important thing to do if you're not connected to a shelter that can bring you in is that you connect with someone in your family that you can get to, and probably not in the town where you are, maybe somewhere away where you can go. Someone can maybe pick you up and take you somewhere away from this person where, you know, they can't get you. And a lot of times they know your people. They really, and like I say, you're actually a good person to them. But that's kind of part of the charm that comes with abusers sometimes. They're very charming. They know how to draw you in. So having I almost liken it to like the people just surrounding you so that enemy cannot get you. So you're going to need that covering so that you can be away, all right? Phone calls, a lot of times they call even after you left. Mm-hmm. You need to throw that phone off. One of the things that they do with one of the initiatives is getting cell phones, a new cell phone to the women that are choosing to leave so that they can be connected with their people, but not with the abuser. So he cannot track them. They have tracking devices now on your phones, and people track you, and that's what abusers do too as well. So, and going to that place and staying with that place, if you have a support system and you can get back on your feet, the chances of you not going back are greater. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Katessa, I'm sure you have encountered plenty of times where you may have given them some knowledge in terms of how they can, at the point they decide to leave, how they can economically make it work, how they can go out and do all these things, give them these phones, but then they contact that person again, and now they know where they are, or now they have that number that they're not supposed to have. What do you do at that point in terms of your assistance with them? Or can you even do anything?
The thing, I'll give you an example. The thing about being in a shelter, you cannot contact your abuser from that shelter because you put everybody in that shelter at risk. Mm-hmm. And, from a personal standpoint, I know that has happened. So you immediately have to go. Mm-hmm. You have to leave. So where are you more likely to go at this point? Back, quote unquote, home. I've seen it happen. And so it's going to take work to get back on your feet. You have to be patient with yourself. It takes courage to leave. It takes courage to stay away. It's difficult. I will tell you, as much as I try to help people and realize that my mother continues to go back, it's difficult. You know what I'm saying? I understand partly the difficulty with Skyy. You want to do more, but you're like, I want to save somebody, and then you look at your situation in your own family, and you're like, I can't save them, but maybe somebody else will, be saved, or maybe the light will come on with my mom, which, eventually, we can get her positioned where she believes that I can make it without this situation. And it depends on what's coupled with that, whether there's addiction, whether there's, you know, whether there's HIV, AIDS involved, you know, who else is going to want me. So it's so many factors, guys, that it's really individual.
I will say,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
What I found interesting is that when we talk about what's the plan when we leave, we're not thinking about, women aren't thinking about a plan. Okay, like that movie Enough with J-Lo, you know, she did all this and she had her cash stacked and all, you know, and I'm going to get the key and hide it here and do all this. It is so not like that. And when you talk about having your family around you, really, when we're talking about domestic violence situation, your family can be the worst.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because you're in this relationship, Bob knocks you out, they come and they want to fight Bob and beat up Bob, and then you go back to them, and that cycle continues, and they get tired. I come from a small town, and I see police officers say, I'm tired of coming to this house.
Right.
This is their job. But they're so tired that they come, they make whoever leave, and then next week they're back together and it's over, and the police is like, oh, okay, it's just them fighting. But the time that they don't come is the time that someone's dead. So it's so important for families to be patient with the victim as well. To say, okay, and just to share a little bit about me, my family was over it. You know, that's just like, I don't get it. What is it? What's going on? You know? But my auntie told me, only you will know when enough is enough. She said, we can do everything. We can hoop and holler and fight and come and get you and do this. And she said, only you will know when enough is enough. And sure enough, it took me 10 years. But when that hit, light bulb, this is it. I'm done. I never looked back. But that was my own awakening. Nothing that anybody else could do for me. And I had a job, full-time, degrees, my own car, I had everything. But that, not the willpower to leave and not to subject my children to that anymore and that kind of thing. So I had to come to my enough place. So I just, you know, if anybody's listening, watching, and you have a family member or a friend, and don't get tired, you just continue to pray. You know, you come up with a plan for them. They don't have a plan, but maybe you can come up with a plan that you can share with them and find resources for them. And when they're ready, you be there. Not just, I'm tired of hearing about it. All you're going to do is go back. Because that breaks their self-esteem and breaks them even more. Because they're like, I don't have anybody else. So we have to look at it from all those angles. Because sometimes you're just not strong enough to think past today and worrying about if you're going to live past today. So that escape plan, that outlet is, that's not even there.
So Skyy, where were you about 10 years ago to tell me that? Because I was that one who was like, you know, I'm tired. You know, this is too much. I can't deal, you know, with all of this back and forth and you calling and crying. And I'm like, okay, well, tomorrow she'll be back with him. Do I sit here and listen? You know, and I got tired of that. And so I removed myself from that situation, which, you know, I was young. I didn't know because I felt like I felt clueless. I'm not clueless. I felt, what's the word? Powerless. I felt powerless. I couldn't help her. I didn't know what to do. You know, there's nothing, I'm not going to go and fight a dude. That is not what I'm getting ready to do. And I didn't want to take that fight because it wasn't mine. You know what I mean? So, you know, I don't know. I don't know either. So as of today, if that happened to one of my friends, yes, I have more patience now, you know, but how far does that patience go? I can't answer that question right now either. You know, I don't know. What do other people think about that? I have no idea what I would do in the moment.
Did you rather see them through than see them dead?
Yes.
It's tough, and you think about it. It's a life or death situation.
It really
So
is.
it's not your battle. And then you're thinking, oh, she's so stupid. What's the problem? It's plenty of men out here. I've heard it all. I wish a Ian would. Okay, if they did, then what? The people who are saying that, I wish okay, I'm like, okay, when it happens, then what? You don't know until it happens. So
Yeah.
caution and pause because I was 6th and 7th grade talking about I wish somebody would. And come 8th grade, I had my first busted lip. So I caution people, don't say what until you're there. And there it was at 8th grade, I was 13, 14. That was my first time being hit by somebody. All the way and then until I was 24, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. This is some tough stuff.
Katessa, you were saying something?
Yeah, I was just reflecting off of what Lakesha was saying. And like I said, my experiences with my mom, and I remember, having to go to the hospital and, over and over again, even when I was in college and having class, something happens, you have to go to the hospital 30 miles away, whatever case may be. And there are times when you're like, how much longer will this be? And the fear, part of you wants to let go and give up on them. And the other part is, I can't give up on you because I love you. So even with friends, Skyy, you've been in a situation. I've never been in a situation personally. And it is life and death. And you're praying to God that it doesn't end in death. Daily, you're like, I don't want that call. So it's a difficult situation because I wanted to drive and whip somebody up, And one thing that my dad, I remember the night, it seemed like it was the darkest night in Georgia. And that was the first time I'd ever heard him hit my mom. We were on the phone and I think he thought she was on the phone with someone else. And I could hear him beating her. And I told my dad, I said, I'm going to Mississippi. And I'm going to kill him. And my dad said, well, if you kill him, your mother is going to be mad. Mm. And that's the mental state a lot of times that people that are in the situation, they really do love this person. It's just that love is not being reciprocated the way it needs to be. Mm. But it's the love that they've gotten accustomed to. It's that comfort place for them. And so I had to bag down and continue to pray that, God, teach me what to do and what to be for that person, Keisha, and give me the strength to be that. What is my purpose for being in this person's life? And how can I help them? Lord, teach me what to do to help them and be there with them without sacrificing myself to the extent where, I'm no good for them. Mm-hmm. Keep me in the place where I can be good for them.
And isn't that an opportunity where, when it becomes too heavy for you, who's the person, that's supporting the victim, to reach out and get external support, like, from the counselor, from the support systems that are out there? Isn't that the opportunity to do that too, so that you're not carrying it on your own? Or does that just complicate the situation even the more?
When you say external support, what do you mean?
Like counselors, like I know I know at least here, there's counseling centers that are specifically for people who are experiencing abuse and their family members who are supporting them, places like that.
Yes. I have people that deal with this that I communicate with for the time when she finally says, I'm out. I don't want this anymore. Mm-hmm. And like Scott says, I can't I mean, if I could do it, it would be done. So I have people that's supporting. My family is supporting. It's just it's a decision that she has to make. And I, like Skyy said, maybe she won't ever make it, but staying connected so she knows that there are people that love her on the other side of this situation.
And even for me, I think, sometimes I need this outlet. I go to counselors still to this day because sometimes life can be so overwhelming. You are wearing everybody else's problems on your shoulder. Because like outside of domestic violence, HIV advocacy, when I get a call to say, okay, Skyy, can you come here? Because we have a 15-year-old girl that's been recently diagnosed with HIV. So you're wearing all these things on your shoulders. You're worried about your friends, your loved ones, whoever is in this situation. So sometimes I think, having a counselor is somebody you can go to be an outlet and not necessarily disclose this person's business, but just to say, okay, this is going on. I just need to woosah.
Right.
It's good because otherwise you become consumed with that worrying about that person.
Right. Exactly. And that's what I was bringing up was the like the self-care factor for the person who's the codependent, like the person who is supporting the victim, they have a self-care factor as well, because if not, then the next thing you know, you're in a dire situation with your own mental and wellness and emotional wellness and mental health and all of that, because you've taken on so much of this other person's problems. Now you're in a dangerous situation. So that's what I was bringing up was, like you said, Skyy, seeking counseling for yourself as a person, not you particularly, but someone seeking, if you're supporting a victim, making sure that you seek counseling for yourself or support for yourself, or go somewhere and get support so that you're not carrying that all on your own shoulder.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, Katessa.
I started the counseling when I was in college.
Okay.
When no one really knew the extent of what I was dealing with my family.
Okay.
And that's when I picked back up writing.
Okay.
So that has helped me. I can say what I'm feeling without judgment. I can write it out, and I do have great friends that listen, but like Skyy said, nobody wants to keep hearing the same thing over and over again. There are people who get paid to do it.
Exactly.
So, find you someone that you can go to, and women, it's just the nature of women. We carry so much. It's like we feel like Skyy has her little pink cape, and we deal with the superwoman syndrome, and it's a lot, but we must, whatever it is to you, do something for yourself, not take on everybody else and forget about you, and we so often do that. So, I can sit up under a tree and just be still, and that is peaceful to me. So whatever your thing is that helps you to release all of everybody else's stuff, you may need to go away for a few days. But whatever your thing is, you must do that. And sometimes I can't talk for extended periods of time. To certain people. So sometimes even my mom was not in the headspace. Then I have to come back and make sure she knows that I love her. But I can't allow you to constantly dump. Let's do something. So. Self-care women.
Yes, I was gonna say it sounds like our resounding theme here is like no matter what.
Everybody loves self. Help me get.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Anybody loves self.
That self-care is like it comes right back around to everything that we all stand for. Even everyone on this Blab We all stand for self-care in a different sort of medium, in a different sort of way. I know, Keisha, you help women with energy management, my favorite phrase, prioritizing, managing their energy and making sure they can balance career and self and all the different things that are pulling on them. And as you mentioned, Skyy, you work with women in HIV advocacy and empowerment and teens, and Katessa, you're doing your work as well. And we're all working in, basically, it comes down to the self-care. And I think that if we can help men and women learn the importance of self-love and self-care, then that can make all the difference when it comes to prevention and when it comes to helping them to leave as well.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna wrap up, but I definitely want to open up the floor for final comments from our guests. If there's anything you want to say before we get ready to go, and we had a few people drop in, so if anybody has any questions for our guests before we close out, Skyy, anything you want to share?
I just want to thank you all for again raising awareness and using your platform to shed light on, what we know and what other people seem to ignore. And, if there's someone listening who's in the situation, know that it's not you. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's not you. And when you're ready to go, there's going to be someone there waiting with open arms to, help you get your life back on track. Mm-hmm.
What about you, Katessa?
I also would like to thank you and Lakesha for inviting me on tonight. I would be more ready with the technology. Yeah.
So that means we have to have you back.
I'm so glad that you took the time to speak on tonight. And as Skyy has mentioned, there are people that do love you if you're dealing with this, and there are people that are readily available to assist and help you. And so, reach out if you know that you're ready, and don't be afraid to take it. I say it takes courage to stay in situations like this. It really does. So you are strong, you are courageous, and you can make it. You really can. You may not feel like you can, but we believe that you can. Mm-hmm. And we're just here, and we wish you the best, and we wish you love. And so that's basically it.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
I want to save the world.
Yes.
And you are doing it.
One person at a time, right?
One person at a time. One person. We can't all do everything, but we can all do something.
Exactly.
We can. Amen.
I want to thank our guests, Katessa, who you've heard on the phone, and Skyy, whose lovely face is in yellow down there. Thank you guys so much for sharing your expertise, your experience, your knowledge, education. That's what we're all about here at Chat Chew and You. And definitely in terms of the subject that we're talking about tonight, keeping it and making people aware of their options, right? Mm-hmm. I am all for some type of choice. You have options. Mm-hmm. Just reach out to the right people, and you can get help.
Absolutely.
Well, I definitely want to make sure that also our guests, if you have any projects or anything coming up that you'd like to share before we close out.
Well, I am with the Red Plum Project, so we are beating the pavement to raise awareness about HIV among women and girls. So just kind of follow the Red Pump Project and me at Skyy Banks and Skyy Banks everywhere. The website, the Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's just Skyy Banks. And I would love for, other women to get involved whatever way they can. If it's just sharing about it, tweeting, that kind of thing. But that's where I am in this whole world of, paying my rent for being here. Mm-hmm.
Katessa, did you want to share anything?
Yes. If anyone is on the show or listening in or on, you can reach out to me. I am Katessa Moody on Facebook, LDH Empowerment on Facebook as well, where you can go on and join my movement. I'm a baby in it, but we're growing. And if you're interested in hosting a Sunday dinner for women, you can reach out to me, and I will supply you with the resources that you need in order to form your group.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, Katessa, you'll have to come back too, so we can see your face, dear.
Yeah.
I got all dolled up for you all.
That's okay. We'll make this another round. We'll have you back. Just want to let everybody know about our next show, November 4th. Same time, same place, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. Our next subject is simple and savory, making it fun and easy to cook at home. So we have some good stuff next time that you come and join us. And if you have any questions again afterwards, let us know at chatchewandyu@gmail.com or visit chatchewandyu.com. And I think that's a wrap for the night, ladies.
Awesome. Good night, ladies.
Awesome.